Welcome back to my channel, everybody. Today I'll be ranking all 5 Jurassic Park movies from worst to best. Once again, another shout out to Happy Stormtrooper Face for digesting this franchise. We've reached the end and now we have the ranking video. Go subscribe to him and let's just get on with the ranking. Coming in at last place for me is definitely Jurassic Park The Lost World. In my review, I expressed a lot of problems with it, specifically the annoying characters, the, weird feel of the movie, and the lack of main character. As I said, I think the biggest problem with this movie is just even Ian Malcolm as a main character. He doesn't work well as a main character, and in my opinion, Owen Grady and Alan Grant work way better as a main character than Ian Malcolm. This movie also has, for me, it's definitely the most bland, and it doesn't really add anything to the Jurassic lore, as, Jurassic Park is the introduction, Jurassic World 3 is the conclusion to the Park trilogy, then we have the awesome fresh reboot, and the new era. This movie doesn't really add anything, it's just, kind of filler for the franchise, and in my opinion, it's the worst out of the bunch. Not to mention the blandness of this film. For me, this one was a very bland film, in my opinion, and it was just kind of boring for me. I mean, the action was great, but other than that, it's just a bunch of people talking, and I don't know, I just don't really like this movie, and I find it to be really hard to rewatch and find it kind of boring, in my opinion. It's always been my least favorite, and I think it's fine. Overall, it was good, but for me, I didn't love it. I think it's still fine, though. I guess, mediocre would be the word to describe it. So, I don't know. I just think this one's the worst out of the bunch, in my opinion. Taking my number 4 spot is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Now, I have a lot of fun with this film. I think it's good, but there are flaws, such as just the acts feel like they're separate movies, and they don't really link together all that well, in my opinion. The first act's awesome, the second act, it drops a bit, and the third act's just barely better than the second act for me. And I don't know, I think it's good, I do have fun with it, but I don't know, it just kind of gets worse and worse as it goes on. And by the end, you're just kind of waiting to get out of the theater so you can go home. And that's the problem with this movie. It just kind of gets worse and worse. It's basically Lost World, but for me, a little better for the characters and, the action. So it's basically Lost World 2.0, but a little bit better for me. And generally, I do like this. It came really, really close to my number 3. And it used to be my number 3, but after thinking about it for a little bit, I noticed a lot of flaws with this movie. I really liked Owen's relationship with Blue and a lot of the relationship stuff, but there are a lot of flaws, such as there's just generally too many plot lines in this movie, and all the acts feel separate from each other, and it just kind of gets worse and worse as it goes on. So my main problem with this is, kind of the acts for me. As I said, they all feel separate. They could have just made a trilogy out of this movie. And some of the pacing felt rushed. And I don't know, it just kind of gets worse and worse as it goes on. And that's all I have to say about this. That said, I do enjoy this movie. It came really close to my number 3. But number 3 barely beat it out. I do generally, enjoy this movie, you can say. But, it's not like S tier, A tier. I guess it's just good. It's not amazing, it's just good. Making my top 3 is a very controversial pick, which is Jurassic Park 3.
I have a proposition I'd like to discuss with you.
This is usually last place for most people, but I actually really enjoyed this movie. I had a lot of fun with it.
And we'd like
There's
you to be
definitely
our
a lot
guide.
of flaws, specifically
We'd
the
love to
reason
make a
why Alan
contribution
went
to
to
your
the
research
island
here.
for money. I thought he learned
could
something after
almost
the
be
first one.
paradise.
I said,
My God,
watch that.
We have a
if you
landing
want to
strip
know
up
more.
ahead.
And
Land on this island.
there are definitely a lot of annoying characters like, well, this is Kirby, but I did have a lot of fun with it, and there were
But in
some
this
good
forbidden
characters
place,
like
where man has
Kirby,
tampered
like
with nature,
the kid Kirby,
This is how you make dinosaurs?
Billy
This is how you
Brennan,
play
and
God.
Alan Grant.
something
And Alan
unexpected
Grant might be my favorite
has
character in the
evolved.
franchise, and I'm really glad they chose him to be the main
we
character.
never imagined.
As I said,
On July
he's better
18th,
than Ian
probably won't
Malcolm.
get off this
I
island
had a lot of
alive.
fun with
It's
this
not
film,
just a walk in
and
the park.
For me, it's just a lot on rewatching sequences and the effects. I think it's pretty underrated.
They set a
And
trap.
when I watch this
They
film,
actually set a
I
trap.
do have a lot of fun with this film. And it's almost number 4, but it just barely beats out Fallen Kingdom by like a little bit for me. Runner-up is the fresh reboot that rebooted the Jurassic franchise and saved it from, well, death, which is Jurassic World. This came close to my number 1. I actually thought about putting it at number 1 a couple of times, but in the end, it is just number 2. For me, this is the reboot that saves the franchise. It's the Force Awakens of the Jurassic franchise, and, you know, it's just, well, the kind of reboot, the fresh reboot. Now, if Fallen Kingdoms gets worse and worse as it goes on, this movie gets better and better as it goes on, in my opinion. The first act was kind of slow, which was my only complaint. The second act pumped it up a lot, and I really generally liked this second act. And the third act, I love the fight between the Indominus Rex and the T-Rex. I thought that fight was one of the best in the series. I really love that fight, and overall, I do have a lot of fun with it. That said, there are maybe 1 or 2 flaws, such as the first act and basically how dumb the concept is. But overall, I really do enjoy this. It's one of those movies that you can watch when you're just kind of bored, and it will offer you entertainment, and that's what this movie is all about. And in my opinion, it really accomplishes that beautifully, and for that, it deserves my number 2. Not to mention, the cast and characters in this movie are amazing. I really enjoy Chris Pratt's character. I think he's a great hero to follow along the journey. I think Alan Grant and Owen Grady are, well, what a main character should be, at least in my opinion. I really like this movie, and it's just a really fun movie in my opinion. I also really enjoyed the 2 kids. As I said in the Fallen Kingdom section, I really wish they were in the second movie. And I don't know, overall, this is a really fun film in my opinion. I had a lot of fun with it, and at the end of the day, that's what it is. This is the fresh reboot that really revived the franchise in my opinion, and for that, it gets a lot of credit. I said that Jurassic World came close as a number 1. But for me, at the end of the day, my favorite has to be the original. In my opinion, this is a really classic film,
to Jurassic Park.
and it's a simple idea. Dinosaurs come to life. They really bring it to life.
Capture the imagination.
There's so many
entire
great
planet.
quotes.
The most phenomenal discovery of our time
And I didn't get bored in this movie.
becomes the greatest adventure of all
As I said,
time.
there's many famous quotes such as, well, life finds a way, and that's
Universal
what
Pictures
the theme of this,
presents
well, movie is that you can't really contain James' life, and
A
I
Steven
think that's something
Spielberg
that the
film.
other films kind of miss, as
Sense of the
they've
feeling
learned that
all over
like
the
a
plot.
million times now.
Gotta go.
I really like this film. It's a great classic movie. There's so many great characters.
can't get
And I said,
Jurassic Park
I
back
love,
online.
65 million years in the making.
Samuel's character, Alan Grant. I also
Jurassic
love
Park.
Ian Malcolm in this movie as the side character, and he works as the side character, and I love everything about this film. And at the end of the day, it's just the great classic movie that will be remembered forever in cinema. we have made it to the end of our Jurassic journey. Thank you everyone for supporting me, and thank you everyone for subscribing. Comment down below which franchise I should review and rank next. Through these times, I've met a lot of great movie YouTubers, such as Movie Micah, Happy Stormtrooper Face, Nolan talks movies, Gavin likes movies, Daniel likes movies, Oirich Entertainment. I met a lot, and thank you for subscribing, everyone. And I think I'm just gonna end the video right here. So bye.